and welcome to the next edition of Nights Around the Fire. We've got one of our researchers here, Sue Taylor, and today we've got a pretty good topic for you. And what is that, Sue? It looks like the Mothman.
You're right, it is the Mothman.
Okay. Thanks to the Bilderberg Group.
Build-A-Bear.
Build-A-Bear Group. The Bilderberg Group might have something to do with it. That is a Build-A-Bear bear.
Build-A-Bear Mothman, and it was one of the most coveted plush to end up on the Build-A-Bear website and in the stores last year and the early part of this year, and I am proud to say that I've scored mine.
Wow.
So here he is.
Listen, and he's a local legend here, although the Mothman really is a West Virginia legend. So today we're going to be talking about the Mothman. I think that we can begin with everybody who has saw or seen the Richard Gere movie, The Mothman Prophecies, probably might have a pretty good idea of what's happened in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And so you might have saw that. Now, it's not all accurate, right?
No.
Compared to some of the evidence on the ground. And we're going to talk about that today. And of course, we want your opinion. Leave us a comment in the comments section, what you think after we're done. Is it true? Is he real? And of course, we're going to talk about what we think he may be or might not be. So let's get on with it. So Sue, tell us a little bit about the Mothman.
All right, so the Mothman is a cryptid out of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, like we talked about. He's got his own festival down there in Point Pleasant. It's coming up. I was supposed to go last year, and I got COVID, so I did not go. But he has his festival every year. He's got his own museum down in Point Pleasant. And when we talk about the Mothman, we're talking about a big guy. So he is 6 to 7 feet tall, supposedly, and his wingspan could be up to 50 feet. And he is so big that some witnesses who have seen him have mistaken him for a helicopter or an airplane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about something that's not supernatural per se, right?
We'll get more into that, but I personally don't think it's a supernatural being. I think it's some sort of cryptid, some sort of living creature.
Now, there's some history with Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and if you ever watched any of the documentaries, and there was quite a few of them, as you know, the History Channel, Unsolved Mysteries has talked about this. There are a lot of things that kind of surround Point Pleasant. The military had a lot to do with some things down there. There was an ammunitions factory, right?
Ammunitions and explosives during World War II.
So we're looking at 1940s.
1940s, yes.
So that did go into detail in some of the movie and in some of the books about that. What connection do you think that might have with the Mothman?
So one thing that it could have was there was radiation in the area to the extent that the EPA is still trying to clean up that area today.
Wow. Okay.
Like as of the documentary that I watched was about 2 or 3 years old. So as of within the last 5 years, the EPA is still trying to clean up from the residue that was left from these factories. And that was where the Mothman was first seen, was around an old TNT factory. So what could have caused this is 9 times out of 10, if you've got a creature that's exposed to radiation, it's going to die. But if you think about the 3-eyed fish on The Simpsons, I think his name was Blinky. Every now and then, you get that mutated creature. So the Mothman could be an example of a mutation that came out of one of these factories.
So unlike other cryptids, this might be more of a mistake, a biological hazardous mistake on a living creature, like what would be a bird or...
It could be, or it could be, like when we talked about Bigfoot, I think I said that it could have been a descendant of Gigantopithecus. And if I didn't say that, that's what I think it could be. But this could also, Mothman could also be some sort of a descendant of a prehistoric bird, some sort of gigantic bird that hasn't lived in thousands of years.
Now, as far as we know, there's no other creature that has been identified in the world by everybody looking for cryptids that's anywhere near the likes of Mothman.
No, but if you watch the newest season of Unsolved Mysteries, there have been Mothman sightings outside of Point Pleasant.
Okay. Do you think this is a pop culture thing? People have watched the videos, have gone to Point Pleasant, have, definitely seen. No.
But have purchased Build-A-Bears.
There's Build-A-Bear. Yeah. Well, that's possible. I always bring that up, folks, because I'm the guy playing devil's advocate here. I like doing that. I guess I'm good at it. But to the point here, how many sightings did they kind of say were around the world? Is there multiple?
So let's start at the beginning and we'll work to your point, because I have some information later on that's going to back up your point a little bit.
Okay.
One of the guys I listened to was a skeptic.
Okay.
So he's got some good points on that. So big thing that started with the Mothman was in November of 1966. Two couples saw him near an abandoned TNT plant.
Okay.
And they identified him. They gave the same description of the giant creature with the glowing red eyes. So they said that he actually chased their car back to city limits, and they were doing like 90 miles an hour, and this thing was keeping up with them.
Well, with a wingspan the size that they claim, that would be easy to do, I guess, for this creature.
Probably the Mothman was like, I'm not even breaking a sweat here.
No, I believe it did some damage to the car too, right?
It did, yep. There were some marks on the car, and they got to the police station, and it was another situation, like when we talked about the Presque Isle alien encounter, where the police said these kids are so freaked out that they could not possibly be making this up.
I'm believing from one of the interviews I saw quite a few years ago, they talked to the survivors, and they still stick by that story. And there's been no one that has come out and proven them wrong. There's no reason for them to believe that they lied about this. And of course, that's not the only sighting, is it, Sue?
It's not. And then the following day, it was seen by another family. And the one documentary that I watched talked to the sister of one of the people who had seen it, and they all stand by their stories as well. And after so many sightings of it, the police took it seriously.
Okay. So the people in Point Pleasant, they all kind of, I don't want to say all believed this, but they knew there was something going on there that was odd.
Yeah, and he got his name, the Mothman, from a newspaper reporter who was there at the time that just called it the Mothman, and it stuck. It's just kind of like how Bigfoot got his name back in the day. And it got to the point that people were coming to Point Pleasant to try to see the Mothman. And one of those people who came out was the author John Keel, who wrote the Mothman prophecies that would go on to be the film of the Mothman prophecies.
Okay.
Now, I'm debating where I want to go next with this. Let's save some of the is this real or not for the end.
Okay, we can do that.
Let's talk about the Silver Bridge collapse.
Right. Now, for those of you that don't know, this was a catastrophic disaster for Point Pleasant. The bridge that basically connected Point Pleasant, I believe, to Ohio.
Yes.
Okay. Catastrophically collapsed over Christmas holiday.
Right before, about 9 days before Christmas, December 16th, and it happened right in the middle of rush hour.
Which means that bridge was full of shoppers and people going home, and it catastrophically collapsed. And I guess there was a lot of people that died in this.
46 people.
And the truth is, the bridge, now we're going to just put this on the table, the bridge was in bad shape.
Yes.
For those of you that live in America, and those of you that live in Pennsylvania know there's a lot of bridges, and many of them have issues. In fact, we're in Pittsburgh. up by Squirrel Hill, we had a catastrophic collapse of a bridge about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was no one died. There was a bus on it and it did not go in. But this is something that happens. But this particular bridge was extremely damaged, in poor shape.
It was, and they said it was actually a miracle that it didn't collapse earlier. But this was such a big thing for Point Pleasant because everybody in Point Pleasant knew somebody who was on the bridge. The mayor of Point Pleasant's parents were on the bridge at the time. I've seen a couple of interviews with one guy that a girl that was in his class at school was on the bridge with her parents and was killed.
Small community.
Yeah. Yeah. So this was like, think about the magnitude of this disaster in a small town.
And this is one of the worst in
worst in history. Worst in U.S. history.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, that's so that says a lot. This, again, there's a lot of emotion surrounding this town, and Mothman is connected, isn't he?
We are not just telling you about the Silver Bridge collapse because we are looking to fill time today. Prior to the Silver Bridge collapse, people in Point Pleasant claimed that they had seen the Mothman flying back and forth over the river. And earlier in November of '66, when the sightings started to come up, the people in town started to claim they were seeing UFOs. They started to claim that they were seeing lights in the sky. They claimed that men in black, literally men in black, not Will Smith, but literally men in black, came to town and were telling people not to talk about it, not to report on it.
That
Nothing.
They were in town.
They claimed they were in town, and they also claimed that the military was in town, blocking things off. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. But before the bridge collapsed, they claimed that they had seen men in black climbing the bridge.
Okay, so I guess what we're alluding to, what did the men in black do when they were on this bridge?
So did the men in black do something, or did the Mothman know that the bridge was going to collapse and his behavior was foreshadowing? Because some people in town claimed that they had a feeling something was going to happen. They claimed that they had dreams that something was going to happen, which it's been a while since I've seen the Mothman prophecies. I know you said that was something that is kind of played up in the movie.
Yeah, they had dreams. And, of course, Richard Gere was the reporter.
Yes.
And he interviewed people in the movie that said that they had strange dreams about this creature. Now, we're talking about the foreshadowing. You know, is this something that it was trying to warn people of?
That's
again, here we go. So first of all, we're going to talk about what we think it is a little more. But as a physical being, a cryptid, like people believe Bigfoot is or Dogman is, Mothman is a cryptid. Would he be gifted with special powers to be able to foresee the future? These are questions we all have. Again, please let us know in the comments section what you think. We love to hear from you. So go ahead, Sue. Where does this lead with this?
So I'm going to put on my skeptic hat now, and I am going to say that the bridge obviously did not collapse due to the Mothman, but again, big tragedy in a small town. This could have been a coping mechanism for people. Like, oh, well, trying to make sense of a terrible tragedy like that right in the middle of the holiday season with so many people impacted. Oh, well, it must have been the Mothman. Like, it just, you know, and it's a good story, and people liked hearing the story, and people liked telling the story, and we'll talk about this later. It's been very good for Point Pleasant. So it could have just been something that just took off in the face of a tragedy. And the whole Men in Black thing and the Mothman flying around the river beforehand thing could all be something along the lines of like a Mandela effect kind of thing, like the mass remembering. Like, well, I saw it. Oh yeah, you saw it too. Okay, well he saw it too, and yeah, we all remember seeing it, like a collective remembering thing.
Right, and I think, like you said, emotion plays a big role, grief, and everybody wants a reason. Everybody wants to find a reason or someone to blame for such a tragedy, for really any tragedy. And in this case, Mothman, and I'm not sure people blamed him. Not everybody blamed Mothman for the bridge collapse. In fact, in the movie, they believed that it was foreshadowing or foretelling of the future and trying to warn people of the collapse. Again, that's Hollywood. Just keep that in mind. We'll really never know it's in the mind of Mothman, right? So, Sue, we have, I guess, to go back and say, firstly, that as a cryptid, Mothman, until recently, has not been identified anywhere else. This is something that you saw in Unsolved Mysteries, the newer versions, that they have started seeing Mothman. As I mentioned, can that be the effect of, pop culture? Again, we don't know, because she's going to talk about how big of a deal Mothman is in the world of cryptids.
And they played up in the Unsolved Mysteries about the Mothman kind of foreshadowing bad events and doing bad things, not doing bad things, but like showing that bad things were going to happen and all of this, because we were watching it. My boyfriend said, "Oh, well, I want to see the Mothman." I said, "Technically, no, you don't, because if you believe what people say, the Mothman
something's going down.
Foreshadows something terrible is about to happen. So, no, the Mothman's a cryptid you don't want to see."
Yeah.
If you believe that he can, predict bad events coming.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, that's a pretty bad event. No, I don't know that anything's happened anywhere else that
Nothing
relates
to that
this.
magnitude.
Okay. So, Sue, when we talk about people investigating, like, unlike Bigfoot and unlike other cryptids, it's difficult to mount an investigation with a team to go out and what do you look for? Where would you go? Back to the gun factory, the gunpowder factory?
That's where they started,
Okay.
and it was torn down in the 90s, so it is not there any longer. But also, remember that they believe they had seen the military out there, and they also believe they had seen UFOs at this time. There is no Project Blue Book case
For Mothman. Okay, so Men in Black and Army. Now, once again, full disclosure here, every time there's a sighting of something like that, so lights in the sky, people always relate, Mothman, always relate to Men in Black, or let's go on record as saying government investigators. That's who Men in Black technically were. And the military, So, again, this is sort of like night comes after day and day comes after night. People are going to fill in the blanks sometimes, right?
Well, yeah. So we're on our government conspiracy cover-up portion, but I'm also going to go with something else. People also claim that the Mothman was a curse on Point Pleasant. So now we're going to go back to cursed towns. Okay. We're going to go back to curses because it's always
you can't get out of them.
No, it's either a curse or a government conspiracy. It's one of the two.
You heard it here. Okay, so what is the curse?
So a Native American chief and his son, who did live, were documented figures in history, were killed, but they claim that the chief cursed Point Pleasant when he was killed, and therefore the Mothman was the curse on Point Pleasant, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because the Mothman doesn't really do anything bad to Point Pleasant. Like, there was one case where a woman claimed that the Mothman tried to steal the baby out of her house. There's some, but there's no cases where it's like the Mothman did something terrible. The Mothman hurt somebody. The Mothman,
right?
There's
right.
Nothing. There's a lot worse cryptids out there than the Mothman.
Yeah.
So you can't. If it's a curse, it's not really a great one.
No. Again, we've got to find connection somewhere. It just comes out of nowhere. I mean, literally, it came out of nowhere. Boom! There's this giant winged creature chasing my car down, and I'm going 90 miles an hour, and it kept up with me. And all of a sudden, the bridge collapses, and it was all of a sudden, and we saw Mothman.
Just to clarify, the bridge collapse was not the December immediately after. It was December of 67. So it was like a year later.
So, yeah, the time frame is definitely spread out there. I'm not sure how any of this really connects directly to each other. There might be. Now, keep in mind, things take time. Nothing is overnight, and maybe Mothman was saying, hey, that bridge is in bad shape. Maybe someone should take a look at it because it's going to collapse.
So you're implying that the Mothman is a bridge engineer?
Yeah, he could be. Or he could have foresaw. I always want to say foreshadowed. He could have foresaw the bridge collapse and said, hey, but...
Well, and he's flying around up there. He's got a better look than everybody else.
He does. I don't know if he went under the bridge to see the supports, but...
Maybe this is what the U.S. government was doing there. They were hiring the Mothman to come out and check bridges for
What do you
them.
think about this one? Your name's not really Mothman, is it?
Stay out of Pittsburgh.
He goes, no, it's not.
It's not.
You can't pronounce the one I do have, so we'll stick with Mothman. Okay, so, and by the way, Sue, they can still get these at Build-A-Bear, right?
They can. Unfortunately, no. He is sold out right now. He's sold out everywhere.
This is in our area. Oh,
yeah. He's sold out everywhere right now, but he'll probably restock because he was so popular. He'll probably come back.
So if you want a Mothman Build-A-Bear, keep giving them a call. Make sure they get those in and go get yours. They can build these, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mine smells like lavender.
There you go. Different scents, different looks, right? Well,
yeah.
Stay tuned. No, we don't get any money from Build-A-Bear. It's just a pitch because we're nice people.
I only get money from Build-A-Bear when I work there.
Yes.
So come see me.
They also call her Build-A-Bear Sue right here. Okay, so Sue, this really did pan out well for the town itself, right?
Again, # worst curse ever. So many people were into the Mothman that now they've got their festival. They've got one of the biggest in the world, and it happens about this time of year. It's probably about a month from now, middle of September, and they have a giant statue of the Mothman in the middle of town, and they said that it doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, whatever, there's always somebody out there taking a picture with the Mothman statue. The stores sell like Mothman themed foods. The one place that I saw on BuzzFeed Unsolved, which I love Shane and Ryan. I will always use their stuff.
Check out BuzzFeed.
Yeah, check out the guys. They got a pizza with the moth, like that looked like they had the toppings arranged to look like the Mothman. Like it had big like green olive eyes and like its wings were mushrooms and
wow.
It was very cool. So, like, this has been very good for Point Pleasant because if you think about it, if not for the Mothman, nobody'd really be going to Point Pleasant. Like, there's
no reason to go to Point Pleasant.
No, except to go to the Mothman and see the Mothman.
Now, what else they have there? They have a festival.
They have a festival. They have a museum. They have the museum looks really cool from the tours that I watched online. They've got a lot of stuff from the Mothman prophecies. They've got props and items used in the movie. They've got autographs. They've got posters and pictures. But one thing that I had forgotten about until I was on YouTube today, Mothman Prophecies was filmed in Katanning.
Yes. Okay, so Mothman Prophecies was not filmed in Point Pleasant.
I had completely forgotten the parts that were filmed around Pittsburgh.
No, Katanning's north of us here, basically in the Pittsburgh area. And it is a similar town. It's now keep in mind, my friends, we're talking about old steel mill towns. We're talking about all pretty much of the same build and a lot of history there, a lot of the same architecture, and it does have a feeling of an oldness, going back to that day.
There is an extremely haunted hotel there that
in Katanning.
No, in Point Pleasant, that I watched a Dan Bell video years ago. It was one of the first Dan Bell videos I ever watched, where they stayed the night there and did some ghost and stuff like that. Well, they just really did the tour of it because Dan's not that into ghost, but the place is supposedly very haunted.
While we're on that, Sue, let's tell our friends that watch what we have coming up for the Nights Around the Fire group. Now, I know that we have in the can, it's going to editing, Sue's interview with two of our Ghostbuster friends, and also a little bit of film of basically an overnight stay at one of the local establishments that they were investigating, and Sue was there. So that's in the can. Look out for that. That might be a little bit, a lot of editing to it. There's a lot to that, a lot of moving parts. But we're also going to go on a Bigfoot hunt in September.
In October. Yep. We'll be out in October.
We'll be at
Bigfoot.
We'll be at the Mingo Park here in Washington County. Very wooded area, and rumors of sightings, of course. And we're going to take a gander there. We're going to have hopefully the whole Nights Around the Fire crew, including Ashley, and some other folks who are going to be along with us, friends. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to kind of let you know what it's like hunting Bigfoot. Hopefully we find something.
Maybe we will.
And hopefully Ashley doesn't get taken.
That's goal number one.
Yeah.
It's our only thing on our to-do list.
Her big fear is that she would be the one taken because she's a little thing. But we'll make sure we protect her. We also have a meeting with another author.
Yep, local author, Tony Lavorne. Tony, I am so sorry if I have mispronounced your name.
Yeah.
I will get it right when we meet. We're setting up a date to chat with him down at the local bookstore here in Canonsburg, all about books, for him to tell some of his tales. You can look him up on all book websites, and I believe they sell his books in the local, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, they sell them in Barnes & Noble, that type of thing. You can pick up his books.
And I'm sure you can order them.
Google him and you can find him.
My understanding is a lot of very interesting stories about our town here and some of the ghosts they believe are here.
Yes, and he's got a lot of Western Pennsylvania stuff. He's got some really good stuff. I met Tony back in October of 2018 when he did some speaking at the Rusty Gold here in Canonsburg, and he's got some great ghost stories to tell.
Right, so we just ask you take a look out for those upcoming videos that'll be associated with those events. But if you're in the area, we are scheduling a whole group meeting at the Frank Saris Public Library in Canonsburg. Sue, myself, and Ashley Hamilton, and hopefully a host of others will come. We're going to be talking about, and I'm thinking Sue will be bringing some of her friends in.
I'll bring a friend. We'll find somebody.
And we will be talking about our research, our expeditions. We're going to be answering questions. We'll let you know closer to the date when we've picked out the time and date for that. We're hoping for October. It'll be a pretty good day, I believe, with all of us together. And by then, we'll have quite a few more videos up. You can ask Ashley about her videos, Sue about the ones she has investigated. We're going to have fun. And I think that's what's most important about our channel. We want to have fun talking about this stuff.
Yes.
And also,
speaking of fun, come see us at Oktoberfest.
Oh, that's right. Canonsburg Oktoberfest, September
19th through the 21st.
Right. Sue and I will be there definitely probably Saturday night or Friday night.
Friday and Saturday. Well, definitely Saturday night. Yeah.
I'm there
I'll be
both
there
days.
Friday night too.
We'll be handing out flyers, giving people information of our website, and hopefully by that time we'll have a date for the Oktoberfest, or should I say the meeting at Saris. And we want to also meet and greet people who have like interests, like mysteries, legends, and myths.
And you can come get a nice little sticker with your Nights Around the Fire logo on it.
And, of course, I want to plug our Etsy shop. I have links to it in all of our videos. You can get this shirt, our standard Nights Around the Fire shirt. I survived Lake Lanier, which is one of the videos that Sue and I did. If you haven't seen basically Lake Lanier video, it's on the channel.
It's a good one.
It's the most haunted lake in the country, according to the people that go there. And just to let you know, Sue actually did swim in that lake.
And survived. That's why I have the T-shirt.
She survived it. So that's a good thing. So go to the Etsy store, click on, buy some stuff, buy a lot of stuff. More will come.
I'm in the process of working on Talk Cryptid to Me shirts.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different varieties here. You're probably not going to see anything like it from what Sue's working on. So please go to that store. Support the channel by buying your shirt or your hat or whatever else we got there. And again, there is a link in the description box. I also will put a link in the description box to a few of the other videos that you want to click on and talking about cryptids, Bigfoot, and such. So take a look. We hope you enjoy going through our merchandise. And let's get back to Mothman. Okay, so Mothman. So you were talking about what is Mothman. Our opinions of Mothman. You already kind of mentioned it's cryptid. Because there's not a lot, and let's be honest, a lot of this is based on the movie because it's based on the book. And if you look at the book and you look at the movie and you look at some of the documentaries, there's a lot of very similar things. You know, the kids that saw the Mothman at the basically armory there, it chased them. People seeing it over the bridge or over the river. Of course, the whole story about the bridge. So because there's not a lot of evidence, you know, let's be honest, there's limited evidence here. It's all based on events within a couple of year period. Now, might have been more sightings. We don't know. I mean, they say now there's been sightings elsewhere, but I'm going to leave that aside because we can't confirm or deny who saw this particular cryptid. So, Sue, where do we go from here? How do we get more? How do we find out more about, is this creature real? Excuse me. Is this creature real? Is it, it's not folklore, right?
It's not folklore because those kids saw something. I believe a lot of other people in that area saw something. I personally don't believe that the Mothman was seen around the bridge. I think that was something that came up with the kind of collective fear and collective grief in the area. Well, it was the Mothman. We need somebody to blame, so let's blame the Mothman.
Well, true.
So I don't believe those, but I didn't know about the radiation and the history with the production in Point Pleasant. And I think that's a big thing that you have to look at, that it could have been a mutated bird, or maybe, it was some descendant of a prehistoric animal or something. And maybe that's why the government did come out there, because they got word that there were sightings of this strange animal.
Now, okay, so we're talking about basically, like I say, a freak of nature. Now, what about, and I'm going to go out here because it's here. It's low-hanging fruit. It's right there. Government creating this creature.
That could have happened too. That's if you really want to take off my one hat and put on my government conspiracy hat now.
Multiple hats.
It definitely, maybe that was something that they were using as a weapon, that they were testing out to see if it was something that could be used as a weapon when they were working with these attack moths.
Right. And of course, basically this was in the 60s.
Yes.
Now, if any of you are familiar, and I happen to be because my brother and me loved science fiction, and he's older than me, but we remember watching all the science fiction shows back in the day, and a lot of them were from the 50s, which I wasn't really old enough to watch, but that we saw in the 60s, and there's mutants, the giant spiders, you name it. And there was all these things that people wrapped that up in a fear thing. Back in the day, we were basically in a Cold War. This affects a lot of things. Even though you don't think it does, in the back of your mind and your subconscious, there's this fear of this war that everybody was worried about with the Soviets. Pop culture plus all these things add up to what you said. It's like a psychosis that can happen. It's not a negative thing. Everybody lives in an echo chamber. If you're in a small town, you only hear what other people say. You don't necessarily always get maybe something a little more unbiased. So you tend to then have these in your mind, and I'm kind of going off here, but the point is that it's really hard to basically find hard evidence when a lot of the things people say could be associated with this basically the psychology of all the things happening. They built bombs there, of course, and that might not have been in the back of their mind, but it was there. The very fact it's an older town with older citizens, a lot of things happen. And of course, UFOs came into this a little bit. A little bit they did. They saw lights in the sky. All this comes out of the 50s and 60s. All this comes out of this threat. We talked about this on the UFO video. Yep. Go watch the UFO video.
And what was it? The alien at Presque Isle, that was 69, wasn't it? So that was just a few years. So this was kind of, again, devil's advocate.
Same era.
This was kind of the thing at the time. This was kind of the hype. I feel like everything's got something. There was the satanic panic in the 90s, and this, I feel, was this satanic panic of the 60s. Was everybody was looking for aliens and
UFOs and
yeah,
and of course
mutants.
They connected that with Bigfoot with UFOs. They connected now UFOs a little bit with Mothman, not a lot, but there's a reference there, as vague as it is. So all this kind of brings you to the point where it's really hard, especially now how many years later, to go back and say, hey, what really happened here? Because all that everybody knows is what's been repeated, that echo chamber, it's been repeated since 67. So we're at a loss here. So, we come to you on this program trying to break it down. But sometimes the best way to break it down is looking for it in like time in a bottle, pulling that time out and reviewing what was happening in that short period of time.
Yeah. And that's when you look at it this way, I've always thought the Mothman was a cool story and was a cool little cryptid, but when you look at it that way, you can really see the influences of the era and the influences of what was happening in the town at the time in it. Now, those kids absolutely saw something.
Right.
Those kids absolutely saw something. What it was, people think maybe it was a crane. I mean, I don't know any cranes that can be mistaken for helicopters, but...
Well, again, it's all perspective as well. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not going to be the bad guy here and say, it's just a fake mystery, because I don't believe it was. I believe there was something there.
I believe there's truth in everything.
Yeah, it's just a matter of 60-foot wingspan with a 7-foot body. It's really tough sometimes to say, wait a minute. Now, again, it was at night, I believe.
It was.
And, of course, with lights and stuff, who knows what the wingspan was. So we're based on not being able to scientifically study a creature. Bigfoot is a little different, only because it's been sighted around the world.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not here to say I truly believe there's something in those woods. I believe Sue does too.
I do too.
Get mad, laugh, whatever you want. I believe there's enough evidence, even if it's circumstantial, okay, to say that there's something in these woods that we don't know, or we do know. It's called a cryptid. Cryptid, that's big hairy beast of some kind. So there's been a lot of sightings over years, decades. In fact, go all the way over to the Himalayas in Nepal, the Yeti. The Indians talked about these things. So we have more history to base our assumptions on and base our theories on. Mothman, we run kind of thin because, again, once they made that movie, and the book, I'm not sure how successful the book was before the movie.
I don't know. I've never read the book.
I never read the book.
I guess that's recommended reading for all of us.
Read the Mothman prophecies, and let us know what you think. But to the degree that we can look at the Mothman and say, Is he a product of, is a lot of it, not all of it, is a lot of it basically the product of the movie?
And even the recent episode of Unsolved Mysteries on it was not, it didn't convince me. Like, there was nothing in it that I was like, it was a fun story, but there was nothing in it that I was like, oh, this is, yeah, well, there's really a Mothman. If anything, there was something in Point Pleasant, but I don't think the Mothman is running rampant in this country.
No, he's not. And I think that should tell us that this is either an isolated incident, mistaken identity. We've talked about this on Bigfoot, an interdimensional being.
And okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because there is a theory that Point Pleasant is a window area. And window areas, I knew you would like this, because window areas are prone to paranormal behavior. So maybe it's, have you seen Stephen King's The Mist?
Yes.
Maybe it was something like that, where it was a portal and one of these beasts came through the portal.
In fact,
in Point Pleasant.
Very good point, Sue. Very good point. Because in fact, in just about all Stephen King's books, not all of them, well, I shouldn't say all of them, the connection in what they called a thin spot between worlds, an intersection between worlds. And whether you believe that or not, the laws of physics do back up that that's possible. Again, not saying that's exactly what this was, but some places, according to Stephen King's novels and some scientists, say that there's a thin spot between worlds. And he put it in maybe a dozen of his books, and he connected them, because anywhere you go in Stephen King's world, when it came to the Dark Tower series, which is a pretty good series, he talks about this. Things can come out, things can go back. We've talked about that with Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Bigfoot created these portals. I think they're naturally there. Maybe Mothman is a creature from another dimension, from another world. Maybe
that's what happened that night. Was the veil was thin, the Mothman came through, these people saw him and were freaked out by him, and
the legend started.
Yeah, and that's how it started. And whatever it was, I'm glad for it, because Point Pleasant's made a fortune on the Mothman, and good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see a city actually prosper over something, especially after having gone through what they had to go through with the collapse of that bridge and the lives lost. So, this, again, I don't believe the Mothman was connected to that bridge. I don't think he was foretelling. Maybe, these are mysteries. That's why our tagline is Legends, Mysteries, and Myths, because no matter who you talk to, everybody has a different opinion, different research, and when we all can agree, which is maybe unusual in some cases, I think we have a win there for anybody who's listening in. So what are we considering Mothman and a legend?
I think we're going to consider him a legend and some type of cryptid. There was something out there, and maybe it was a... what's the exact definition of a cryptid? Is it an unknown species being studied?
Yes.
And if it was, we're going to say an unknown species, we could say that could be some type of mutant that they could not catch to take a look at. And maybe the government knew that the radiation was dangerous out there. And if there was potential that these creatures were mutating, then maybe it was a risk to humans, and they needed to get out there and check on it too.
Yeah, we'll never know, because, again, there's no Project Blue Book for cryptids. Well, at least for Mothman, and that we know of. Okay? So once again, let us know what you think in the comment section. I know a lot of folks are going to stick by their guns that this thing's, is definitely real, and that's fine, because, again, we can't prove either way. Here on Nights Around the Fire, we're going to do our best to come up with a theory, sometimes countering theories. In this case, I think, Sue, me and you are on the same page. Yeah. There's not a lot of evidence that proves anything. Now, you guys out there that really enjoy stories about cryptids, this is still a campfire story. No doubt.
Either way, it's a great campfire story. And that was one of the interviews I listened to said that the people in Point Pleasant just really liked this story. So they just kept telling it. And
Sure.
okay, that's fine. But I think when you take and you break the pieces apart, you can kind of see where all of them come together.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, just remember that, as much as it's painful for people who love UFO stories, ghost stories, cryptid stories, Lake Lanier stories, we always have to look at the world through a colored glass. It's not always clear. And we try to clarify it. But remember, as much as we would love to flat out see something face to face, and once you do, if you ever listen to people who claim they've saw Bigfoot face to face, their lives have changed forever. That's a shocking reality that hits your psyche, and I think they'll never forget it. And it's hard to live your life without trying to tell that story in many cases. In this case, there wasn't a lot of sightings. I mean, even though we know there's probably more than we think, there was, I think, over 10,000 Bigfoot sightings in America alone last year.
Yeah.
That we know of. Not so much with Mothman.
Maybe he was an alien and he went back.
One never knows. Modern science fiction and science fiction from the 50s, a lot of that came from the 50s. A lot of how we think about everything came from the 50s. Post-World War II, nuclear world. There was now nuclear weapons in the world. We had enemies, in that case back then, the Soviets, and a lot of things really kind of the genre of science fiction and mutations all came out of all that. Testing of nuclear weapons, Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. So we all have to look at things and try to be in perspective of the time, the culture at the time, the society at the time, and it makes it a little more clear. Some things are unexplainable, though.
Those kids saw something.
They saw
whatever
something.
it was, it freaked them out. So it was something.
I'm not sure how far Mount Pleasant is from here.
It's
Point Pleasant.
So it's about 3 to 4. It's about 3 to 4 hours. Because I was looking last year when I was supposed to go. It was the same weekend as Oktoberfest. So I was planning to get up Saturday morning, drive down, be there by like noon, meet up with my friends, go to the festival on Saturday, and then come home on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean that is a drive. I mean, I guess really, if you don't like drives, the best way is to book a hotel or a motel and drive down the day before, which is usually what I do with places because I don't like driving far.
Not going this year. No plans for this year, but maybe next year.
We still have to do an expedition to the town in Westmoreland County.
Oh yes, Livermore.
That, if you remember, Livermore is another town like Lake Lanier that was basically used to build a dam. And they did that here in Westmoreland County, which is about an hour and a half from here, I believe.
Yeah.
And not as popular. It's just basically, I'm sure it's more rural and not a lot of people around it. But there's some strange things that go on there. We might go there.
It was also cursed by a witch, and then it was blah, 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 insert cursed town here.
Yeah, the cursed town theory. Now, just for you to know, we know that a lot of towns are basically decommissioned and used for dams,
Yes.
or flooded to build dams. That's nothing unusual.
No, that happened a lot in this country.
Except in Lake Lanier.
Lake Lanier, well.
Sue did survive. So, Sue, anything closing argument here?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
we've made a good point about the Mothman.
Yeah, please again put your comment in the comment section. Help us out. Squash that like button. Squash it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed.
We need one more subscriber to hit 40.
We hit 40.
Guys.
We hit 40 and somebody backed out. I'm very upset with whoever that person is.
Shame.
And even the Mothman's not happy. We're not happy. Yeah. So we're trying to get 40. We'd like to see 50 before October. So share the video. I know you people know a lot of people that watch movies on Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens, ghosts. You know people who would love this channel. Don't just share it with them. Go up and say, Nights Around the Fire with Ashley, David, and Sue. It's the best program you're ever going to find with legends, mysteries, and myths highlighted every week. Do it. Help us out. And go to our Etsy store.
Yes, go get yourself a fun Lake Lanier shirt.
Yes.
We've got a couple different varieties out there.
There is. And I'm sure you'll find something you'll fall in love with. That's all the time we have today. Thank you, Sue. We'll be back, and Ashley Hamilton is going to be working on another video as well. And I think we're going to try to all get together here coming up, and maybe in October have a literal Nights Around a Fire conversation in my backyard. A fire with us three there. And we'll have fun talking, snacking, and of course talking mysteries, legends, and myths. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Nights Around the Fire.